Okay, let's start the show. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க கட்டியக்காரி வரேனே என்னை பாருங்க வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க கட்டியக்காரி வரேனே என்னை பாருங்க தன்னை தொடுத்து கட்டியக்காரி அழகான ஆடை உடுத்து குந்தி குந்தி வழி நடந்து கோரக்குள்ளாவும் போட்டு விந்தை விந்தை ராகம் பாடி மேவும் ஆராவன் வாசல் அத்தான சந்தோஷி. ஹாய் ஹாய் Hi. Excited? A Koothu performance. Woo! Me too. We are, pardon me. There's a whole company of actors behind that curtain ready to enact Aravan's sacrifice over the next 8 hours. But before I introduce Aravan on stage, before this tragic story really of how Aravan is sacrificed by his own family for the sake of the war unfolds. It's not a spoiler. It's right there in the title, Aravan's sacrifice. And this is from the Mahabharata, which is as old as India itself. So, before you're transported into another world, another time, I want to make sure you're right here in this room. That you aren't thinking, if I'd known this was an immersive performance, I would have sat much further in the back. No judgments. But it's kind of on me to make sure your entire focus is on the action on stage. So, I'm going to test you. Oh yeah. If you thought this was going to be an easy evening in the theatre, you're in for a rude surprise because I'm going to tell you a story. And then I'm going to ask you one question at the end of it. And I'm looking for the right answer. Are you guys ready? That was inspiring. Okay, here we go. In the magical kingdom of Nungambakam, there lived a man and a woman. And they had 2 children, whose names were You're a Moron and I'm a Moron. What were the names of the children?
You're a moron and I'm a moron.
Wow, excellent recall. So, one day, You're a Moron goes to the shops. This is where it gets really tricky. Which child is left at home?
I'm a moron.
Are you saying you're a moron? You're a moron has gone to the shops. Which child is left at home?
I'm a moron.
You're a moron?
I'm a moron.
Oh, I'm sorry guys. This wasn't part of the play. I'm so sorry. I got excited. I was dancing and then I saw you guys. This is actually what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to finish the song and then I was supposed to go here and introduce Aravan on stage like so. Raja Viraja Raja Martanda Raja Uttanda Raja Prasindha Raja Kola Kala Naga Vedanga Kudiya Aravabalan Sabai Noki Varigindra Vidam Kande. And Aravan would have entered like so. Sabash! Andarendu Muttanda Dingidave Aravabalan Arparithu Vandume Vinen Aravabalan. Aravan just described how his steps reverberate across all worlds, how he was born to conquer all. So show of hands, how many of you here know Aravan's story? Oh, that's not bad. Great. And the rest of you, have you heard of Aravan? Great, great. Okay, let's make it simple. How many of you here don't know the Mahabharata? All convent educated people, huh? I bet they also find you when you talk in your vernacular. I just have to ask you how much you were fined to know how old you are. Inflation, you know. So, most of us know the Mahabharata from different sources. Since there are a few of us who also don't know the Mahabharata, it makes my life a really simple. I'm going to give you some context. So, when the Koothu begins, it makes sense. The Mahabharata isn't just an epic with magic, mysticism, gods and demons battling one another. It is India's itihasa, our history. It teaches us law, politics, ethics, governance, morality, right, wrong, fate, free will, all under one term, dharma. And it does so while telling the story of one family, cousins, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. The Pandavas, sons of King Pandu, are 5 brothers and they are the good guys, upholders of dharma. Now where there are good guys, there's got to be bad guys, that's right. Those are the Kauravas, born from the Kuru clan. They are 100 brothers, the eldest being Duryodhana, the ultimate bad guy, the harbinger of adharma, if you will. Perhaps that is why in every mass Tamil film we watch, the ultimate bad guy has 100 henchmen ready to die for him. Maybe this is a remnant from our Vedic times we brought to the modern world. But I digress. The Pandavas are married to one woman, Draupadi. India was a lot more progressive back then. But this wasn't some free-for-all setup. These guys are after all upholders of dharma. So, as good men, they made a rule. Draupadi will be with each brother every year. During that year, no other brother will look upon her as his wife. This arrangement was going swimmingly well. One day, Arjuna, the third among the Pandavas, the valiant and dashing hero, stumbles upon Draupadi when she is intimate with her eldest husband, Yudhishthira. This scene reminds Arjuna of when Draupadi had been intimate with him when she was his wife. Ashamed that he had thought of her as his wife, when it wasn't his year, his turn. Being the good brother, one could even go so far as to say being the good husband, Arjuna travels into the forest to perform penance. Arjuna goes deep into the forest. There, he stumbles into the Naga kingdom, the kingdom of snakes. Naturally, there is a Naga princess. Her name is Nagakanni or Ulupi. And she takes one look at Arjuna and she falls instantly in love. Aase kondadira Aragu sukumara. In fact, the first time Ulupi sees Arjuna, she is a snake swimming in the waters of the pond. Arjuna enters the waters, not knowing that there's a snake in there. Ulupi sees Arjuna. She sees all of him, and she is smitten. Aase kondadira Aragu sukumara, pesada kadal brahmam pesida devarai, pennullam nee kaanava. Oh, pennullam nee kaanava. This happens to Arjuna a lot. He possesses the 32 characteristics of beauty as described in the Manual of Aesthetics. And in the Mahabharata, it is the women who woo Arjuna, with the exception of Draupadi, who is exceptional herself. But I digress. So, there Ulupi was in the throes of love for Arjuna, and Arjuna remains unaware of her existence. Is there a sweeter pain? But while bathing, Arjuna's hand brushes against the snake. In fact, it's its little finger that brushes against the snake, and instantly the snake is transformed into a beautiful woman. Arjuna takes one look at Princess Ulupi, now bathing in the waters with him, and he is besotted too. Sirikku mullai tene singara kalemane, Sirikku mullai tene singara kalemane, மாறாது நம் காதலே, ஓ மாறாது நம் காதலே, ஆசை கொண்ட தீரா. I assume no translation is needed for the sweet nothings they sang to one another. After all, we've all been in love at some point or the other. So, here we are in the Naga kingdom. Ulupi and Arjuna are madly in love with each other. And naturally, 9 months later, Aravan was born. Aravan was now alive. And he was perfect. He was the perfect balance between man and snake. He had glowing skin. He had hair that grew the opposite way. Our hair goes this way. His grew the opposite. He had sharp fangs with which to tear meat. His strength was unparalleled. Some say he could even Some say he could even Excuse me, I'm trying to tell a story here.
I guess just about anyone can tell Aravan's story now.
What's your problem?
This, your tweet. I may be vegan, but I swear to God, if there's a lizard in the house, I'll get my boyfriend to kill it dead.
Yeah, so what does that have to do with...
You're a bad single woman.
What? How does that make me a bad single woman?
அடக்கத்தான் வந்தாய் அரவான் பேச்சை என்று கெடுக்கத்தான் வந்தாய் கெர்வம் என்ன எழுந்து போடி.
Okay. Bad single woman. Bad single woman. Well. Aha.
आशीर्वादमे सुखी भव, आशीर्वादमे सुखी भव.
Okay, let's start the show. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க, கட்டியக்காரி வாரேனே என்னை பாருங்க. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க, கட்டியக்காரி வாரேனே என்னை பாருங்க. தன்னை தொடுத்து கட்டியக்காரி அழகான ஆடை உடுத்து. குந்தி குந்தி வழி நடந்து கோணக்குள்ளாவும் போட்டு விந்தை விந்தை ராகம் பாடி மேவும் அரவான் வாசல் ஆஸ்தான சந்தோஷி. ஹாய் ஹாய் Hi! Excited? A Koothu performance. Woo! Me too. Where? Oh, pardon me. There's a whole company of actors behind that curtain. What? It's true. There's a whole company of actors behind that curtain, ready to enact Aravan's sacrifice over the next 8 hours. But before I introduce Aravan on stage, before this tragic story really, of how Aravan is sacrificed by his own family for the sake of the war unfolds. It's not a spoiler. It's right there in the title, Aravan's Sacrifice, and this is from the Mahabharata, which is as old as India itself. So, before you're transported into another world, another time, I want to make sure you're right here in this room, that you aren't thinking, is it too late for me to sneak out and watch Alex in Wonderland at the Music Academy instead? No judgments. But it's kind of on me to make sure your entire focus is on the action on stage. So, I'm going to test you. Oh yeah. I'm going to tell you a story and then I'm going to ask you one question at the end of it. And this isn't some hippy-dippy bullshit where there are no wrong answers. There's a right answer, there's a wrong answer, and I'm looking for the right answer. Are you guys ready? So inspiring, as always. Here we go. In the magical kingdom of Nungambaka, there lived a man and a woman. And they had 2 children whose names were You're a Moron and I'm a Moron. One day, You're a Moron goes to the shops. This is where it gets tricky. Which child is left at home?
I'm a moron.
You're a moron.
I'm a moron.
You're a moron.
I'm a moron.
I'm just messing with you. Every single time I tell myself I'm going to finish the song and I'm going to do this, and then I see you guys. Let's erase that part. I finish the song and then I'm going to announce Aravan on stage like so. Raja, 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 Martanda, Raja, Muttanda, Raja, Prasanda, Raja, Kola, Kala, Naga, Velanga, Kudiya, Aravan, Sabai, Noki, Varigindra, Vidam, Kange. Aravan will enter like so. Sabash! Rendu Muntal, Nadingidave, Arava Balan, Sarbarithu, Vandume, Vinen, Arava Balan. Aravan just describes how his steps reverberate across all worlds. How he was born to conquer all. Where was I in Aravan's story? Yes, Aravan was now alive. Years passed. Aravan was growing up in the Naga kingdom as the Naga prince. Things had come to a head between cousins Pandavas and Kauravas. War was declared. Jekida Janakita, Jekida Janakita, Janakita Janakita Go. At this point, I have to take a detour from Aravan's story and tell you the reason for the war itself. I do so because it is necessary, and because the incident which I am about to describe to you is what Western writing gurus will call the central event of the Mahabharata. Draupadi's disrobe. The setting is a game of dice in the court where Duryodhana is king. Duryodhana is playing against his eldest Pandava cousin Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira has a fondness for gambling and, like most gamblers, has terrible luck. Yudhishthira first loses all his possessions. Then he loses his kingdom. Then he loses his 4 brothers. Then he loses himself. And finally, Yudhishthira stakes his wife Draupadi in the game of dice, and she too is lost. Duryodhana sends for Draupadi, his new slave, to be brought to the court full of men. Draupadi is on her period, and as is custom, is only draped in a single cloth. A servant approaches Draupadi with summons from Duryodhana. Draupadi sends the servant back with one question, a query that is profound in its implications. Did Yudhishthira stake me before or after losing himself? Duryodhana has no time for ethical debates with the slave, so he sends his brother Dushasana to bring Draupadi to court. Despite reminding Dushasana that she is a queen herself, his cousin's wife, the physical state she is in, Dushasana drags Draupadi to court by her hair. There she stands, the stately and regal queen, in front of her 5 husbands who are too ashamed to lift a finger in her aid. Draupadi lashes at all the respectable men in the court. She asks them where the dharma is in staking one's wife after one has lost himself. No one replies. Duryodhana's best friend, Karna, who was once a suitor of Draupadi and who was laughed off as being unworthy due to his birth, senses this is his moment for revenge, and he denounces Draupadi as unchaste because she has 5 husbands. Karna tells Duryodhana that slaves' clothes belong to their masters, taking his cue from his best friend. Duryodhana demands that the Pandavas renounce their upper cloths. The men strip themselves and stand near naked. Duryodhana now turns to Draupadi and asks her why she thinks she can still wear clothes when she is his slave. Sensing that Draupadi will not give up her single cloth, Dushasana grabs that single cloth and begins pulling. There are teachers, warriors, patriarchs, kings, relatives, kinsmen, husbands stuffed in that court, but not one voice is raised in support of Draupadi. Not one hand reaches for its weapon, not one foot strays out the door. Instead, heads are lowered, eyes averted, lips shut tight. In her desperation, Draupadi begins praying to Lord Krishna, their friend, mentor, and avatar of Vishnu himself. She laments that it must be the curse of this land that drags her thus, and she pleads with Krishna to send her attacker to where the god of death lives. Inda nagaril vanda doshamo yenadanna kanna yenaipadi irukalachude yennanna kanna yenaipadi irukalachude yenadanna kanna yenaipadi irukalachude எனதண்ணா கண்ணா ஓடி ஓடி வந்து இழுக்கிறான் என் அண்ணா கண்ணா யமனுருக்கே கொண்டு போவையோ என் அண்ணா கண்ணா யமனுருக்கே கொண்டு போவையோ எனதண்ணா கண்ணா யமனுருக்கே கொண்டு போவையோ Hari Hari Govinda. Moved by her predicament and her fate, Krishna covers Draupadi in yards and yards of cloth until Dushasana, tired of pulling at this unending layer of single cloth, falls to the ground, exhausted. Draupadi curses the entire Kuru clan and vows that her unbound hair would be washed and tied only when it has been drenched in the blood of Dushasana. The precipitant of the war may have been Draupadi's public humiliation in court. But like all wars, avenging Draupadi was just a front. What the cousins were actually fighting for was land, power, and who had a right to rule the kingdom. We're back to Aravan's story now. It was now the eve of the battle of Kurukshetra. Jekita Jannakitta, Jekita Jannakitta, Janakita Janakita Tom. As is custom, on the eve of battle, a sacrifice has to be made to goddess Kali to appease her thirst for blood. The right offering has to be sacrificed. It could be a goat, a bull, a man, sometimes even a lemon or a pumpkin. The right price for the right reward. Duryodhana enters, declaring himself king of Hastinapura. Already king, Duryodhana wants to remain king, and so he begins to hunt for the right sacrifice that will grant him victory. He asks his maternal uncle for a suggestion. He asks the court preceptor for a suggestion. He even asks his paternal uncle, the commander of the Kaurava army, the 800-year-old Bhishma, for a suggestion, and he comes up empty-handed. Duryodhana finally decides to consult the best astrologer in the land, who happens to be Sahadeva, the fifth Pandava brother whom he was going to war against. But back then Dharma was such that when Duryodhana consults Sahadeva as a client, Sahadeva looks at the charts and finds that the sacrifice that will ensure that the Kauravas win the war is Aravan. Aravan had all the right elements to grant victory to whomever sacrificed him. Aravan was now an object and the perfect sacrifice. He was born in the warrior clan. He was man and also beast. And he happened to be a Naga, a tribesman, which meant that sacrificing him didn't cost too much to the Kshatriyas. And so, Duryodhana treks into the forest. Excuse me, I'm trying to do this show.
யார் வேணாலும் அரவான் கதையை சொல்லலாம் போல இருக்கு.
என்ன?
உன்னோட ட்வீட், I may be vegan, but I swear to God, if there's a lizard in the house, I'll get my boyfriend to kill it dead.
அம்மா, அதுக்கு என்ன இப்போ?
இங்கிலீஷ்ல ட்வீட் போடுற? நீ எல்லாம் ஒரு தமிழச்சி.
நான் தமிழச்சி இல்லையா?
அவர்தான் வந்தாய் அரவான் பேச்சை என்று கிடக்கத்தான் வந்தாய் கர்வம் என்ன எழுந்து போனி.
சரி, தமிழச்சின்னு காட்டணும். தமிழுக்கு அமுதென்று பேர், இன்பத் தமிழ் எங்கள் உயிருக்கு நேர். தமிழுக்கு நிலவென்று பேர், இன்பத் தமிழ் எங்கள் சமூகத்தின் விளைவுக்கு நீர். போதுமா?
ஆசீர்வாதமே சுகி பவ, ஆசீர்வாதமே ஆசீர்வாதமே சுகி பவ.
Okay, let's start the show. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க, கட்டியக்காரி வரேனே என்னை பாருங்க. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க, கட்டியக்காரி வரேனே என்னை பாருங்க. தாகிட 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 தே தாகிட தே தத்தைய தோற்ற அக்கியம் தன்னை தோர்த்து கட்டியக்காரி அழகான ஆடை உடுத்து. குந்தி குந்தி வழிநடந்து கோல குல்லாவும் போட்டு விந்தை விந்தை ராகம் பாடி மேவும் அரவன் வாசல் ஆஸ்தான சந்தோஷி. ஹாய் ஹாய் ஹாய், excited? A Koothu performance. Woo! Me too. Where? Oh, pardon me. There's a whole company of incredibly quiet actors behind that curtain, ready to enact Aravan's sacrifice over the next 8 hours. But before I introduce Aravan on stage, before this tragic story really of how Aravan is sacrificed by his own family for the sake of the war unfolds, it's not a spoiler. It's right there in the title, Aravan's sacrifice, and this is from the Mahabharata, which is as old as India itself. So, before you're transported into another world, another time, I want to make sure you're right here in this room, that you aren't thinking, should the Supreme Court just rule this country? No judgments. But it's kind of on me to make sure your entire focus is on the action on stage. So, I'm going to test you. Oh yeah! I'm going to tell you a story and then I'm going to ask you one question at the end of it. And this isn't some hippy-dippy bullshit where there are no wrong answers. Huh? There's a right answer, there's a wrong answer, and I'm looking for the right answer. Okay? You guys are ready? So inspiring. In the middle of Nugambakam, there lived a man and a woman. You know what? That is so heteronormative. Wow, that got a laugh. How long can we keep hiding behind discriminatory practices and use the word culture? Time to update our culture, no? Look at that. I'm going to be trending, y'all. Okay, here we go. Let's make history together. Let's update our Mahabharata. Here we go. In the magical kingdom of Nungambakam, there lived a man. Payback for short and sweet, which here? And a man. Well, the Supreme Court decriminalized it, so, you know. But I feel like, no, we can do better, right? Yeah, we can do better. We can do better. Here we go. In the magical kingdom of Nungambakam, there lived a woman and this lovely lady, a woman. We're still in binaries. And that's so 2016. So, I have it. I have it. I so have it. You ready? In the magical kingdom of Nungambakam, there lived two people. So simple, so elegant. In the magical kingdom of Nungambakam, there lived two people who had two children, whose names were You're a moron and I'm a moron, and one day You're a moron goes to the shop. This is where it gets tricky. Which child is left behind?
I'm a moron.
You're a moron.
I'm a moron.
You guys didn't make it funny enough. Raja 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 Martanda Raja Uttanda Raja Prasanda Raja Kola Kala Naga Velanga Kuriya Arava Balan Sabenoki Varigindra Vidam Kande Sabash Rendomum Tadatingidave Arava Balan Sabarithu Vandame Vine Arava Balam Aravan just described how his steps reverberate across all worlds, how he was born to conquer all. Aravan was alive, and he was now a sacrificial object that Duryodhana coveted. And what Duryodhana wants, Duryodhana gets. When Duryodhana walks into the Naga kingdom, he is accorded a warm welcome by Aravan, because he is the first relative Aravan sees from his father's side. You see, right after Aravan was born, Arjuna had completed his year of penance and he returned home. Aravan had grown up never knowing his father. Duryodhana introduces himself and he tells Aravan why he is there. He asks Aravan to be his sacrifice. Aravan doesn't want to. Naturally, he's a young lad of 18. He feels he has so much to live for. He tells Duryodhana, Uncle, how can you ask this of me? Duryodhana says, I didn't come here on my own. I was sent here by your uncle, Sahadev. Now this boy, who's grown up without his father, feeling unwanted his entire life, feels this is a condemnation of his very existence. And so he agrees to be the sacrifice. He tells Duryodhana, I will come to you tomorrow and be the sacrifice, which happens to be the new moon day. Duryodhana leaves, ecstatic that victory is his. He has after all won the war before the first blade has even fallen. When Ulupi hears of Aravan's decision, she is devastated. He is her only child. How can she lose him? She rushes to Aravan to try and make him change his mind. Aravan, being the perfect warrior, tells Ulupi that this is his dharma. This is what he was born for. To lay down his life for others. Ulupi curses Duryodhana for enticing Aravan away from her. She weeps that her only child has died. Aravan tells her that he has made up his mind. He knows this is the right thing to do, but he cannot do so without her support. And if she keeps fighting it, he would be tempted to break his word, which would be worse than death. So Ulupi is asked to bless Aravan. How can she send him to his death willingly? But as a woman born in the warrior clan, Ulupi knows that Aravan not going will be a shame he can never outlive. Caught between her duty towards him as his queen and commander torn by her love for him as his mother, Ulupi begins to sing a lament for the death of Aravan, even though he is standing right in front of her. She mourns her fate and wonders what to do with herself now that the apple of her eye has died. She curses Duryodhana and his poisonous tongue for splitting Aravan away from her forever. She describes how her mouth has gone dry, her body wilts, flowers wither, the whole world trembles around her. Enna naan seivenada kanmaniye, idakkedu naan seivenada பொன்மணியே, மன்னனாம் துரியானும் வஞ்சகப்படுபவி, நஞ்சனவ கொடியோ நாடி வந்தானே மேவி. என் நாவு உலருதே, மேனி வாடுதே, பூவு உலருதே, புவியும் நடுங்குதே. As she sings the last line, being the Naga princess, Ulupi poisons herself with her own venom and falls into a dead faint. Aravan, being the good son, picks her up and whispers in her ear, knowing that she can hear him, even though she has lost consciousness. He tells her, "Be proud of me, Amma. I'm fulfilling my dharma as a warrior. This is a brave death, a warrior's death." And he carries her to a palace. And as Aravan begins carrying her, oh my God, what?
I guess just about anyone can tell Aravan's story now.
What does that mean?
This, your tweet. I may be vegan, but I swear to God, if there's a lizard in the house, I'll get my boyfriend to kill it dead.
Yeah, so what does that have to do with
You're a bad daughter.
What? How does that make me a bad daughter? Come on.
அடக்கத்தான் வந்தாய் அரவான் பேச்சை என்று கிடைக்கத்தான் வந்தாய் கர்ப்பம் என்ன எழுந்து போடி.
Aravan begins carrying Ulupi. Bad daughter. Bad daughter. Just think, ma. நீ என்னலாம் பண்ணிருக்கலாம் if you hadn't had me. You'd have had more money. Your health wouldn't have suffered as much. You wouldn't be embarrassed in public as often. You should have done it. You should have aborted me.
आशीर्वाद में सुखी भव, आशीर्वाद में आशीर्वादमे सुखी भव.
Okay, let's start the show. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க கட்டியக்காரி வாரேனே என்னை பாருங்க வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க கட்டியக்காரி வாரேனே என்னை பாருங்க தகிர 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 தத்தையத்தோம் தகிர அக்கிரியம் தன்னை தொடுத்து கட்டியக்காரி அழகான ஆடை உடுத்து குந்தி குந்தி வயநாடந்து கோணக்குள்ளாவும் போட்டு விந்தை விந்தை ராகம் பாடி மேவும் ஆராவன் வாசல் ஆஸ்தான சந்தோஷி. ஹாய் ஹாய் ஹாய், excited? A Koothu performance. Woo! Me too. Where? Oh, pardon me. There's a whole company of actors behind that curtain, probably thinking they should have unionized themselves. But they're ready to enact Aravan's sacrifice over the next 8 hours. Now, before I introduce Aravan on stage, before this tragic story really of how Aravan is sacrificed by his own family for the sake of the war unfolds, it's not a spoiler. It's right there in the title, Aravan Sacrifice, and this is from the Mahabharata, which is as old as India itself. So, before you're transported into another world, another time, I want to make sure you're right here in this room, that you aren't thinking, how many more familiar names are going to be implicated in the Me Too movement? But it's kind of on me to make sure your entire focus is on the action on stage. So, I'm going to test you. Oh yeah, I'm going to tell you a story and then I'm going to ask you one question at the end of it. And this isn't some hippy-dippy bullshit where there are no wrong answers. Huh? There's a right answer, there's a wrong answer, and I'm looking for the right answer. Are you guys ready? Okay, here we go. In the magical kingdom of Nungambakam, there live 2 people who had 2 children whose names were You're a moron and I'm a moron. One day, I'm a moron goes to shop. Which child is left behind?
You're a moron.
I'm a moron.
You're a moron.
I'm a moron.
You're a moron.
I'm a moron. Wow, look at that excitement. Raja, 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 Matanda, Raja, Uttanda, Raja, Prasenda, Raja, Kola, Kalanaga, Velenga, Kudia, Aravan, Sabinoki, Varindra, Vidam, Kande, Sabash! Pattarend Mutta, letting it away, Aravan, Argarit, Vandme, rename Aravan. Aravan just described how his steps reverberate across all worlds. How he was born to conquer all. Aravan was alive, but he was now approaching his death against the wishes of the only family he'd ever known. The Pandavas, along with Lord Krishna, now enter the Naga kingdom, having come to the same realization that they need to sacrifice Aravan if they need to win the war. Krishna, who is an avatar of God himself, is on the side of the Pandavas in the Kurukshetra because they are right. And their victory ensures that Dharma will be upheld. Talk about a loaded game. Krishna describes himself as a master manipulator, an all-round mentalist. Vandanan Vindayai Sindai Magirnda Sundira Nanda Gopala Krishnan Vandanan. When Ulupi hears that Lord Krishna has entered the Naga kingdom, she revives herself and rushes to him, knowing that if anyone can change Aravan's mind, it is Lord Krishna, only to find out that the Pandavas, along with Arjuna and Lord Krishna, have asked Aravan to be their sacrifice. Ulupi has no eyes for the long-lost love Arjuna. She challenges Krishna on the dharma of sacrificing a young boy to win a war. Krishna tells her that Aravan's life ends on the next new moon day, which happens to be tomorrow. That whether Aravan is fighting or playing or sleeping or hidden away in a remote cave, Aravan will drop dead before the new moon day is done. Why not use his certain death for a good cause? Ulupi realizes no one is coming to save her son, and she turns to her palace to poison herself one last time, so she needn't be awake to say goodbye to her only child. Aravan was now a pawn, and being the perfect warrior, he tells his father Arjuna, I will gladly lay my life down for you, but I promised Duryodhana that I will go to him tomorrow. Krishna says, well, you are to go to him tomorrow, which means you can come with us today. So, Aravan leaves with his father, his uncles, and Lord Krishna, and he's overjoyed. Aravan is overjoyed that he gets to spend his last day on earth. What is it now?
I guess just about anyone can tell Aravan's story now.
What does that mean?
This, your tweet. I may be vegan, but I swear to God, if there's a lizard in the house, I'll get my boyfriend to kill it dead.
Yes, but I already know I'm a bad single woman, I'm a bad comer, I'm a bad daughter.
You're a bad atheist.
Wow! A bad atheist. Well, that's...
அரசத்தான் வந்தாய் அரவான் பேச்சை இன்று கிடைக்கத்தான் வந்தாய் கெவனை எழுது போடி.
Okay. Bad atheist. Okay. Yes. Charles, can you use a dance light? This is the color you're going with, huh? Sure. Okay. This is what happens when you learn Bharatanatyam sporadically for 3 years. Your lighting design has to do rim light so the audience can't see exactly what you're doing. Here we go. Mannumai vinnumagi Madhiyamai kadirumagi Kannumai Sheviyumagi Karuvukuluruvamagi
आशीर्वाद में सुखी भव आशीर्वाद में सुखी भव.
Okay, let's start the show. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க கட்டியக்காரி வரேனே என்னை பாருங்க வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க கட்டியக்காரி வரேனே என்னை பாருங்க அத்தியம் தன்னை தொடுத்து கட்டியக்காரி அழகான ஆடை உடுத்து குந்தி குந்தி மை நடந்து கோண குல்லாவும் போட்டு சிந்தை விந்தை ராகம் பாடி மேவும் அரவன் வாசல் அத்தான சந்தோஷி. Hi. Excited? Koothu performance. Woo! Me too. Oh, pardon me. There's a whole company of actors behind the curtain probably thinking I should have peed before this performance began. But they're ready to enact Aravan's sacrifice over the next 8 hours. But before I introduce Aravan on stage, before this tragic story really of how Aravan is sacrificed by his own family for the sake of the war unfolds, it's not a spoiler. It's right there in the title, Aravan Sacrifice, and this is from the Mahabharata, which is as old as India itself. So, before you're transported into another world, another time, I want to make sure you're right here, in this room, that you aren't thinking, have I aged since this performance began? You shouldn't have laughed this much, I hurt my feelings. But, well, it's kind of on me to make sure your entire focus is on the action on stage. So, I'm going to test you. Oh yeah, I'm going to tell you a story and then I'm going to ask you one question at the end of it. And this isn't some hippy-dippy bullshit. There are no wrong answers. There's a right answer, there's a wrong answer, and I'm looking for the right answer. Are you guys ready? Here we go. In a magical kingdom of Nungambakam, there lived two people who were two children whose names were You're a Moron and I'm a Moron. One day, I'm a Moron goes to the shops. Which child is left behind?
You're a moron.
I'm a moron.
You're a moron.
I'm a moron.
Yes, you're a moron.
No ad-libbing allowed. Only I'm allowed to improvise. Jeez, you repeat something a few times and suddenly name calling and everyone's so happy. Raja, 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 Martanda, Raja, Uttanda, Raja, Prasanta, Raja, Kola, Kalana, Gavalaga, Kudiya, Aravabalan, Sabinoki, Variginra, Vidam, Kanga, Sabash! Panda, Rendamum, Tana, Dingidave, Aravabalan, Sarvarit, Vandme, Vine, Aravabalan, Aravan just described how his steps reverberate across all world, how he was born to conquer all. Aravan was now a pawn in a much bigger game. Aravan was heading to the Pandava camp with his father, uncles, and Lord Krishna. When Krishna stops by the banks of a river and begins performing memorial rites for his departed parents. You see, in Hinduism, the son performs memorial rites for his deceased parents on every new moon day. Krishna being God himself, seeing him perform the memorial rites, the entire kingdom follows suit. Now, it isn't the new moon day yet. Tomorrow is when the new moon occurs. Seeing Krishna and now the entire kingdom perform memorial rites on the wrong day, the sun and the moon decide to approach Krishna. They enter, describing their glory, their radiance, how light from each other makes the whole world incandescent. Tattari, tari, tattari, tillana, jamtari, tattari, tari, tattari, tillana. Surya Chandirar Vandar, Sundra Voli Minnave, Tattari, tari, tattari, tillana. Tattari, tari, tattari, tillana. Jamtari, tattari, tari, tattari, tillana. Annandambir varum, Andavane Kanum Neram Ammavasai Endrudane, Aithiduvar. Tattari, tari, tattari, tillana. Jamtari, tattari, tari, tattari, tillana. Tattari, tari, tattari, tillana. Tattari, tari, tattari, tillana. They asked Lord Krishna, Lord, do you not realize tomorrow is the new moon? Unfazed, Krishna asks, now what makes it a new moon? So they reply and they say, when the sun and the moon appear together, it is the new moon. Krishna points at both of them and he says, well, we are both here now. So I suppose it is the new moon today. And he turns to Aravan and he says, now will you sacrifice yourself so that the good guys may win the war and dharma will be upheld. Aravan agrees on one condition. He says, when I die, no one will mourn me. This is a happy day. I am being sacrificed so the war will be won. But if I had a wife, she would mourn me no matter the occasion. I would like to be married before I die. Now, how can these upholders of dharma force such a cruel fate upon a woman? They tell Aravan no woman will agree to this, ask for something else. But Aravan is adamant. He says, this is the fee I charge for my life. And so, the hunt is on to find a bride for Aravan. They find a girl. Aravan marries her. And as he lifts the veil to see his bride for the very first time, who do you think he sees? Lord Krishna, who has taken the form of a woman. Aravan is wounded. He says, you cheated me. Krishna says, no. What you wanted was someone to mourn you. And when you die, I will weep. I will kill you. I will beat these breasts until they are gone. Now agree to be the sacrifice because your fee has been paid. Aravan was now the right price for the right reward, which is victory in the war. And being the perfect man, Aravan agrees to be sacrificed, provided that he can be seen. What?
I guess just about anyone can tell Aravan's story now.
What?
This, your tweet. I may be vegan, but I swear to God, if there's a lizard in the house, I'll get my boyfriend to kill it. Kill it dead.
Just tell me what I'm bad at.
You're a bad feminist.
What? Whoa, how dare you!
அடக்கத்தான் வந்தாய் வந்தாய் அரவான் பேச்சை இன்று கெடுக்கத்தான் வந்தாய் வந்தாய் கெர்வம் என்ன எழுந்து போடி.
Not gonna lie, that will hurt. Bad feminist. Okay. Feminist. முத்துநகை அது ஜிலு ஜிலுன்னு, மோகன மாலையும் பளபளன்னு. முத்துநகை அது ஜிலு ஜிலுன்னு, மோகன மாலையும் பளபளன்னு. சித்திரை தாண்டவும் கலகலன்னு, சிதறி விழுந்தா பலகளென்ன. சித்திரை தாண்டவும் கலகலன்னு, சிதறி விழுந்தா பலர்கள் என்ன. புதுநகை அது ஜிலு ஜிலுன்னு, மோகன மாலையும் பளபளன்னு. புதுநகை அது ஜிலு ஜிலுன்னு. ஆசீர்வாதமே சுகி பவ, ஆசீர்வாதமே. Okay? ஆசீர்வாதமே. Let's start the show. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க, கட்டியக்காரி வரேனே என்னை பாருங்க. வந்தேனே என்னை பாருங்க, கட்டியக்காரி வரேனே என்னை பாருங்க. தாகிர 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 தா, தாகிர 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 செய், தாகிர தா தாகிர செய். தத்தையத்தோம் தகிர அக்கியம் தன்னை தொடுத்து, கட்டியக்காரி அழகான ஆடை உடுத்து. குந்தி குந்தி வழி நடந்து கோடைக்குள்ளாவும் போட்டு விந்தை விந்தை ராகம் பாடி மேவும் அரவன் வாசல் ஆஸ்தான சந்தோஷி. Hi, excited? A Koothu performance. Me too. Where? Oh, pardon me. There's a whole company of actors behind this curtain, probably texting their friends, millennials, but they're ready to enact Aravan's sacrifice over the next 8 hours. But before I introduce Aravan on stage, before this tragic story really of how Aravan is sacrificed by his own family for the sake of the war unfolds. It's not a spoiler. It's right there in the title, Aravan Sacrifice, and this is from the Mahabharata, which is as old as India itself. So, before you're transported into another world, another time, I want to make sure you're right here in this room. That you aren't thinking, who the hell is Nick Jonas? But it's kind of on me to make sure your entire focus is on the action on stage. So, I'm going to test you. Oh yeah, I'm going to tell you a story and then I'm going to ask you one question at the end of it. And this isn't some hippy-dippy bullshit. There are no wrong answers, huh? There's a right answer, there's a wrong answer, and I'm looking for the right answer. Are you guys ready? I'm going to say it anyway. In the magical kingdom of Nungambakam, there lived two people, or two children, whose names were You're a moron and I'm a moron. One day, the parents go to the shops. So the children are left at home, and what are they called?
You're a moron and I'm a moron.
Look at that equality, we're so woke. Raja, 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 Martanda, Raja, Uttanda, Raja, Prasanda, Raja, Kolagala, Naga, Velaga, Kuriya, Adavabalan, Sabinoki, Varigindra, Vidam, Kanga, Sabash, Andarendamum, Tanda, Dingidave, Aravabalan, Arvarithu, Vandme, name Aravabalan. Aravan just described how his steps reverberate across all worlds, how he was born to conquer all. Aravan was now dead. This was Kurukshetra, the war to end all wars. Takka, takka, dhim, takka, takka, dhim, takka, takka, dhim, takka, takka, dhim, takka, takka, dhim. Takku taka dhin dhin, takku taka dhin dhin, takku taka dhin dhin, takku taka dhin dhin, takku taka dhin dhin. Taddari, kita taka taddari, kita taka taddari, kita taka taddari, kita taka taddari, 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 ta. Tattari kita takadari kita kita 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 tadit talangutong tadit talangutong tadit talangutong tadit talangutong talangutong. Here heroes were born, legends were made, titles were assigned. The hero with the flaming arrows, the prince who killed Bakasura, the warrior who could break Chakravyuha, and on and on. Aravan had been sacrificed. Krishna mourned him as a wife. He wept, wailed, and keened for the loss of Aravan. He sang a lament for the death of Aravan. He mourns his fate and wonders what to do with himself now that the ruler of his heart has died. He describes how Aravan's father Arjuna grieves, how Aravan's mother Ulupi weeps garlands of tears. His heart grows dim. There's no place left in the world for him. Yenna naan seivenayya yen karnava idarkedu naan seivenayya yen mannava mannana muntandayum manadu kunnurare mangaya nagakanni malalurale mangudhe en manam pongudhe en seven tangida idame dharaniyil illaye. Promised, Aravan's head had been placed at a vantage point. Aravan watched the entire battle range. Cousins killed cousins. Fathers killed sons. Nephews slew uncles. Both sides had very dear losses, and Aravan watched it all. And on the 8th day of battle, Aravan made a request that he be allowed to fight. You see, just before he had been sacrificed, Krishna granted him a boon as a reward for his selflessness and bravery, and Aravan was now collecting. He was, after all, a young lad of 18. He had trained as a warrior his entire life, growing up on tales of battle and valor in great battles. It was only natural he wanted to make a name for himself in the greatest battle of all. And so, after watching battle after battle, Aravan finally entered the fray. Jekita jannat tikta, jekita jannat tikta, janakita janakita koma. He was ferocious. He cut through the Kaurava ranks like a hot knife on cool butter. But Aravan's life had ended. His fate had been tallied, and nothing could change that. And so Ajamukasura, a demon fighting on the side of the Kauravas, killed Aravan on the 8th day of battle. Aravan had been a good son, a good warrior, a good man, a husband to God himself. It was now time Aravan became a symbol. Aravan became a god. He became a husband to men who needed to be women. A divine husband to thousands of men who felt like women. A husband to thousands of men who needed that one day to experience what it feels like to be a married woman. Here we go.
I guess just about anyone can tell Aravan's story now.
Go on.
This, your tweet. I may be vegan, but I swear to God, if there's a lizard in the house, I'll get my boyfriend to kill it dead.
I know.
You're a bad artist.
What?
Adakattan Mandai Aravan
Hey, Pulli, cut
Pechi.
it. That's enough for review. Bad artist, it seems. Am I bored? Bad artist. பலவித நோய்கள் பறந்தே போம் ஏவல் பில்லி சூன்யம் இவையெல்லாம் இடைந்தே போம் தேவதரி சூழ்ந்த திருநெல்வேலியில் வாழ் சுந்தர கணேசரடியை தாழ்ந்து சிரம் பணிபவர்க்கே